I started traveling when I was dead broke. Don't take the overall life too seriously, remembering that we're all gonna die. I would travel Friday evening and come back to the office Monday morning.
How can we build their confidence?
You don't want to judge yourself for feeling fear, because a lot of people judge themselves. Oh, I'm afraid, therefore I'm a loser. So now you get into this downward spiral. Oh, I'm a loser. The more you say this to yourself, the more you feel the negative emotions. They're reflected in your body. Now your body language is all messed up, so now you feel even worse. No, acknowledge first, fear is normal. Everyone experiences fear. When you emotionally feel fear, you want to use your logic to overcome that fear.
How did you start travel adventure careers?
I don't know anybody who would ever build a business, who would ever travel. And then when I went to the UK and I met all the other students, well, everybody said, man, the pinnacle is working for Goldman Sachs.
How to build a great course. Jimmy Naraine, an alpha, award-renowned educator and best-selling author of Course Creation Simplified. Jimmy has delivered transformative training for top Fortune 500 companies and has graced the stage at prestigious events worldwide, from Afest to HR Tech Festival Asia, a true adventurer. Jimmy has journeyed through over, more than 80 countries, engaging in amazing experiences from Muay Thai training in Thailand to hiking the Himalayas. How people should act with fear, or how you act with fear. What's your mindset with fear?
Beginning of my journey, I fought genuinely.
Welcome back, Alpha Squad, to a new inspiring episode of the Alpha Talks Show, the #1 fastest growing show in the region. Today, we are joined by Jimmy Narin, an alpha, award-renowned educator and best-selling author of Course Creation Simplified. Jimmy has delivered transformative training for top Fortune 500 companies and has graced the stage at prestigious events worldwide, from Afest to HR Tech Festival Asia, a true adventurer. Jimmy has journeyed through over, more than 80 countries, engaging in amazing experiences from Muay Thai training in Thailand to hiking the Himalayas. So I want you to join us as we uncover the insights of an alpha who's educated over 400k students across 190 countries, making a profound impact with every step and story. So please join me in welcoming Jimmy to the Alpha Talks Show. Brother, welcome to the Alpha Talks Show.
Thank you so much, man. Hey, love your deep voice. Great stuff.
I appreciate it, bro.
Brother, I just want to tell you, thank you for having me. I'm really, really happy to be here.
It's my pleasure and an honor. Guys, we met a couple of days back in Mind Valley event. And as soon as we met, the vibe already matched.
Right away.
So we decided to create a BAM episode just for you. It's an absolutely non-standard, absolutely in a topic that we've never touched in the show. So get your coffee, your water, your notes, and get ready to really get some alpha knowledge out of it.
Or let me tell you, or bang out a bunch of burpees or push-ups or squats while you
on the spot.
Yeah,
on
while
the spot,
you
true.
are listening or watching. I mean, that's what I do with podcasts.
Absolutely.
Right,
When
you
it's
can
long.
just sit down and you can listen or watch, but you can get on a treadmill. And imagine you finish this episode
And you did exercise.
and
you did work out.
you've done 15K.
True.
Right? Like that's the
That's an
spirit.
absolute best thing.
Yeah.
Jimmy, before we start, we have a nugget question in the show. Once we publish the episode, people will see the thumbnail, the title, the graphics, and 100% they will think it's an absolutely interesting episode. What can you promise them today to gain if they give us their time?
What can I promise?
Oh,
Well,
shit.
I don't know where the conversation is going to go exactly. One thing I know is that there will be no bullshit, right? So I don't like filters, right? I like to speak unapologetically. And I also don't like scripts. I don't like to share the same stories over and over again. So what I can promise that is going to be authentic. It won't be just a typical interview of you asking a question and me answering it, and you asking a question, me answering, and we just keep going and going. It's going to be more of a conversation, more of a back and forth.
Of
I usually
course,
like to
that's-
fire back.
That's going to be a great
Yeah.
one.
But what I can tell you is that what I want people to get from this, no matter what we talk about specifically, to realize that they can do so much more. And even if you've been playing big, you can play bigger.
Much bigger.
Yeah.
So let's start. Jimmy, who are you?
Who am I? That's a great question.
Who are you?
It's an easy and tough question at the same time,
True.
isn't it?
But I want to know, who are you from your perspective? Not what people says, what I read on digital.
Yeah.
Who are you?
I'm I'm a poor Polish kid who lived a very ordinary life back in Poland right after communism and managed to build an extraordinary life by not just hard work, but deciding that I'm going to hack the system, right? Deciding that even though I'm not confident, I'm going to build that confidence. That just because people tell me that I won't amount to anything, because people, teachers tell me, hey, kid, forget about your dreams. I decided, you know what? I have one life. I may as well just play it big. But I'm an adventurer. I'm a Spartan beast, right? Now, it may sound weird to people, but that's part of my identity, being a Spartan. There's a lot of this warrior identity. If somebody walks into a restaurant with a knife, I'm not going to be running away. I'm going to try to take the guy down. But at the same time, I'm a romantic. I have the sensitive side. It's going to be controversial, but I haven't eaten meat for 20 years. And I'm not against it per se. But when I was a kid, when I was a teenager, I realized something is really fucked up with factory production.
Okay.
And that's why I stopped. But then I never got back, even though now you can source meat in a completely different way.
Yeah.
But I already kind of got so deep into it. A lot of people don't know about it. So there are two sides to me. There is the side that's more of a savage. My ex called me the knuckle dragger. Yeah. My little knuckle dragger. But there's also the other part, the sensitive part that really cares for animals, for humans, and wants to protect them and inspire them.
I love that. Let's go back a little bit.
What about you?
What?
I got a fire.
Oh, shit.
Yes, tell me.
What? A beast.
Who are you? What are the keywords that come to mind?
A quick note. Before we jump into this episode, I find this incredibly intriguing. On the back end of our YouTube channel, it says around 75% of you who watch this channel frequently over the lifetime of this channel haven't yet hit the subscribe button. I just wanted to ask you for a favor. It helps this channel so much if you choose to just subscribe. It helps us invite guests that give you great value. It helps us scale the production and as well makes this show bigger and bigger for you. So if I will ask you just one favor, and if you enjoyed the previous episodes and you're currently enjoying this episode, could you please hit the subscribe button? I love your support. It's incredible to see all your comments and engagement, and we are just starting. I can't wait to go on this journey with you. Thank you so much, and I will repay this gesture by making sure that everything we do on this show makes it bigger, and better. I'm committed to do this promise. Do we have a deal? Thank you so much for subscribing. It means the world to me. A keyword that comes: a beast, a leader, influential, protector.
Love
it. The last one is gonna be caring. Regardless the masks that we put, like a Spartan or a beast, we care about our beloved ones.
Yeah.
That's a quick fire back. I didn't expect that fast.
I won't do it all the time, but the way I approach podcasts is it should be a conversation.
Yeah, true.
I think the reason people tune into Rogan, for example, is because it's a conversation, right? And I know people are afraid usually to ask a question back, but hey, you're a really fascinating character, so why not?
No, absolutely great. It's a nice one. Let's keep it like this.
Yeah, man.
I want to go back to Poland time. You told me you left Poland at 18 years old.
Yeah.
Roughly, kind of.
Yeah.
What made you leave Poland, and why you decided, okay, Poland is not a place for me, and I have the guts. I have the guts to leave. It's not an easy thing. That starts off the comfort zone. I'm leaving my comfort zone regardless. It's a poor thing. It's a good thing. It doesn't matter. But it's at the end of the day, that's where you grew up. So at the end, it's your comfort zone.
Yeah, but to be honest, my answer may surprise you, but I never really felt like at home in Poland.
Oof.
It's a weird thing.
Yeah.
And the reason is that my father's from British Guyana, from Latin America, right? So when he came to Poland to study medicine, he got a scholarship, came over. There's a lot of racism, actually. People assume that, because this was like he came in, was early 80s, right? People assumed, you probably have a lot of money.
USSR era was like tough one.
Oh, yeah, and he has brown skin. So my mom was being called all types of names because they thought that she went for him for the money, which was completely not true. They had no money. So when I was born, they were living in the halls of residence at uni. And then afterwards, we lived in this tiny flat infested with cockroaches, right? So I'd wake up my father middle of the night chasing cockroaches. And man, I got to tell you, we had we had this couch, and we knew that there was a nest in the couch,
Inside.
but we didn't have the money to buy a new couch, so we just kept the couch with cockroaches. Anyhow, I could go on and on, but the point is, without going to, because I could talk about this for half an hour at least, it never felt like I truly belonged. I still, when I go to Poland, there's nostalgia. You know, I don't want to paint a terrible picture. You know, Poland has changed dramatically, but back then, I just felt like an outsider. I'm sure a lot of listeners can resonate with this. You feel like you don't belong, to the point where when I was a kid, I would tell my parents, let's just get out. I was like 9-10 years old. I told them, we had family in Canada. I said, let's just go to Canada. I was willing to leave everything behind. When you're a kid, you know, you have your friends, you have your school. I was willing to leave everything behind, but they were not willing to make that decision. They always, almost yes, but never making that decision.
Happened.
And then, so when I was growing up, I remember that there were no foreigners in Poland. But whenever I saw a foreigner, I was the first one to just go up to that person and with broken English, just like, oh, hello, mister. Where are you from? What country you come? You know, just really broken English, because I was fascinated and I always wanted to leave.
Wow.
Yeah.
What pushed you then? What the moment came that I said, like, I'm done, I'm leaving.
Yeah.
Your family went with you, or you're absolutely alone?
No, I went by myself.
Ah.
Yeah, I mean, they were instrumental in it, because they let me. They didn't believe in some of the dreams I had, but they let me believe. So at some point when I was roughly, I was 15, 16, I went through my troubled time, you know, rebelled against the system, doing, you know, graffiti, running away from the police. There were a lot of bullies, so a lot of hooligans as well. So at that time I started training as well, both weights and martial arts, the luta libre, which is like, and vale tudo.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's kind of like Brazilian jiu-jitsu with no gi, and so learn how to defend myself. But at that moment, I didn't take school seriously. I just rebelled against the system, and I almost failed school. And that was probably the best thing that happened to me, because I started realizing, you know what, if I fail because I don't study, I may feel like I'm this, you know, rebel. I glorify myself, but I'm not making myself any favors. I'm not gonna have any future. So there was one moment when I was roughly 16, I changed schools, and I decided I'm just gonna study. And that's when I changed my identity. It was very weird.
Exactly.
And I'm curious if you resonate with this, because our identity, you were a bodybuilder
Of
before.
course.
So that's why I'm curious, because from guy who just kept smashing weights and just going and doing training, I got myself glasses, and I lost a lot of weight, and I created an identity of a geek.
Oh shit.
And man, I just studied every day.
Look, since it's a back and forth,
Yeah.
it happened to my life. I used to be in the national team of Kung Fu.
Oh, wow.
And I was always working out, training. That was my 100% focus. And one moment, I was studying with my cousin, and my aunt came in and said, like, why, she said to her daughter, why you're studying with an idiot? And that's the moment where I changed. That's the moment that I put my glasses, I became a geek, and I studied like shit. It was a form of, I'm saying, watch me. I can be better, and I will show you who's the idiot. You understand? That was a way of, I'm not going to say a bad revenge, because I love my aunt to death. She's my second mother. But that's the time or the moment that I changed my identity. You changed it for a different reason. What was that? Why you said, like, okay, I'm done? Because it's not easy for people to change their identity. You can, that's why when people say, like, you are a smoker. No, I stopped. No, you don't say I stopped. I'm not a smoker anymore. You link it to your identity. So what happened to change your identity?
I realized, this is a great question, by the way. Thanks for sharing, because you're right. It's really tough to change your identity. But I realized, you know, you start looking at the future, and you realize the cost of not changing is so big that I have to change, right? Because
the pain.
Yeah, because it's kind of like when you are, and you know, a lot of guys out there, they start drinking at fairly early age, right? You are 18, 19, you drink a lot, you party, you chase girls all the time, and that's how you escape the harsh reality. But then you don't realize that if you do this now to escape the reality, you're basically creating a fucked up reality for the rest of your life. And if you decide, you know, I'm going to sacrifice a couple of years, put my head down and study and try to build something, then I'm going to have a better future. So I realized, you know what, if I want to escape Poland, I have to have the right results to go
Sure.
to because I wanted to go to a British university. But now you're competing with all of those people from all over the planet,
True.
right? So I realized I have to, first of all, teach myself English. And my English when I was 16 was kind of broken.
Yeah.
So I have to get fluent. You don't get fluent in English by just learning like 5 words a day. So I got obsessed. I would write those. I probably still have them at my parents' place. I need to actually dig
Yeah.
out some of those things. I had those blocks of paper, and I would write down different words, like, I don't know, 30, 50 words per paper. And I would see how many I can memorize per day. I treat it like a game, because I
Wow.
knew if I mastered this and if I get good grades,
You'll be able to get out.
I can get to the UK. Once I get to the UK, I mean, I will create opportunities for myself, right? I can get better jobs and maybe build a business at some point.
What was
So-
your dreams back then? Because I absolutely believe now your dreams are absolutely different. On the path or the path that you're taking now, it's absolutely different than what you imagined at that moment. So you wanted to go to a British university, UK-based university. You never thought I'm gonna be a traveler. I want to freaking be an adventurer, or that was always a dream.
You know what? Actually, it was always somewhere in me, because I was always an adventurer at heart. I mean, I'll tell you a little funny anecdote.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, right, I watched Mowgli. You probably know Mowgli,
of
Tarzan.
course, yeah.
So I got to the point where my parents, they probably thought I was crazy. Well, I was crazy. I would take a bunch of dirt from the grass and all the stones and all the sand. I would put it in my bed, and I would sleep in it because I imagined I'm in a jungle. So I always had that thing in me. I would run away from at 2, 3 years old. I would run away from my parents because I wanted to see what's out there behind the block. School trips. Teachers say, "Hey kids, you have half an hour. We have 1 hour. Meet at this spot." Most kids, they want to find a beer and share it, right? I would go as far as possible because I was curious. So I always had it in me, but I just didn't believe it was possible. So I kind of suppressed those dreams,
True.
and I realized, you know what? Like, I don't even know where to begin. I don't know anybody who would ever build a business, who would ever travel. So I decided, well, my best shot is go to the UK and have a proper job, work for a bank, right? And then when I went to the UK and I met all the other students, well, everybody said, man, the pinnacle is working for Goldman Sachs,
True.
Morgan Stanley, BCG.
True.
If you
McKinsey's and all
yeah,
these.
yeah.
True.
You went through this as well,
Of
right?
course.
And so everyone feeds you this bullshit dream that you got to work for a corporation to make it work. And by the way, I'm not hating. Some people genuinely enjoy working for the
That's their
corporate.
DNA. True.
Yeah, but most people don't. And but when people fed me that dream, I realized, well, I was kind of lost. I just knew that I was sick and tired of being poor. I was sick and tired of, you want to go on a date with a girl and you're like, well, should I take her to baguette shop? In £1 baguette, 99p baguettes.
Yeah, true.
Because like otherwise, like just cannot afford it, right? I was sick and tired of this. I wanted to make money. I wanted to travel the world. But I'm like, well, I guess the only way would be to work for a bank and then save money and then travel. And that got me to Goldman Sachs.
True. How long did
Yeah.
you stay in Goldman Sachs?
Not so long, just over a year. Just over a year. I had a 12-month contract. Then they wanted to extend.
That
I
was
said-
your first corporate job?
No, I did Allianz before. I did Allianz.
So you had
I
a
did
couple of years, let's say like a couple of years in corporate.
Yeah, and I
correct?
did like little entrepreneurial things. Like I would buy t-shirts in the US and sell them in Poland, or I would like, pick up strawberries and blueberries in Poland and just sell them. No, sorry, not blueberries,
Yeah.
strawberries and whatever you call them, raspberries.
Yeah.
Or whatever. I want to be accurate here. I don't even know if there are blueberries involved, but I would sell them on the street. So I did a
Okay.
bunch of different things, but the corporate was Allianz and Goldman Sachs.
Take us to the moment where, with this corporate experience, and I said like, it's enough.
Yeah.
I'm done. I want to, let's say, travel.
Uh-huh.
That was a transition, correct? Like you left your corporate thing and I said like, okay, I'm done. I want to travel the world. I want to be an adventurer. I want to feed this passion inside of me, the hunger for adventure.
Yeah.
Take me to this moment.
So it wasn't just one moment. It was a series of moments. I was already traveling in Goldman Sachs. Okay, so here's the interesting thing, and this kind of tells you about my personality back then. Most people on the weekend would just go to one of the pubs and just get smashed,
True.
right? Or go get a bottle service, and it's
The
showing off.
norm.
Yeah,
But it's the norm at that period of time. That's the norm. Was
Yeah.
the norm.
Yeah, because if you're a junior guy, you want to prove to the senior guys that you have some money, which everybody knows you don't really have money yet because they know the character. But Now you want to buy the bottle and this and that. So instead, I would travel Friday evening and come back to the office Monday morning. So I would book Ryanair flights, cheap Ryanair flights.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, £15, £20, £30 flights. I even did those trips. Long story short, I would go to Tenerife. The flight was like 4.5, 5 hours. And I would go there for like 48 hours. And I would feel this freedom sitting on a beach and going up the volcano, doing my thing, and then coming back. And people would ask me, you go to this little coffee area at Goldman, people ask me, how come you're tanned?
Yeah.
Is it raining
True.
the entire weekend? I'm like, well,
Dark.
yeah,
No sun. True.
I was at the Canary Islands. And they're like, how the hell did you go? I'm like, well, I went on Friday evening and I came back, Sunday night, and I just came to the office. People couldn't, but they're like, how much are they paying you? And I'm like, well, probably less than you. But it's about what you do with the money, right?
True.
But when I was in Tenerife, actually specifically, I was sitting on a beach, and there are those guys selling jet ski rides. And then, they walk up to you and they're like, hey man, do you want to ride a jet ski? And usually those guys don't know how to do it. They kind of come to you from behind. Hey bro, hey, do you want a jet ski? And I chatted with them and I said, guys, like if you actually want to sell this, don't approach from behind. I'll show you a few things. Approach from the side or from the front. Don't even mention the jet ski. Make friends with me first. Talk to me a little bit. Then, right? Because I knew a lot about social dynamics. And they're like, holy shit, this is amazing. Now we're going to sell way more. And I kept pondering, those guys are selling jet ski rides. They're not making a lot of money on paper, but they are happy. They have all the freedom. They're chilling on a beach.
Exactly.
In the meantime, in London, people make a lot of money on paper. Everyone says, how much do you make? And they throw those numbers, but that's per year.
Yeah.
And then you have to take the tax and the flat, the metro, or whatever it is. And now you realize you're left with almost nothing. So you kind of, it's crazy. So yeah, so that was one of the moments when I realized
I can make an impact.
Yeah, I can do it. But also there's one other moment when I sent an email to my friend Gianluca. I got really pissed off at some point. I got sick and tired of being at the corporate. Because when you get in there initially, you are happy. You are excited, right?
True, initially, true.
You know the feeling, right? You get your ID.
Exactly.
You see the logo.
Part of a blue chip, part of true. Your ego plays.
Yeah. People tell you, safe, you made it, man.
Yeah.
Bro,
true.
you made it. Congratulations.
Exactly. Enjoy it.
But then you're in that environment and you see all those screens and everyone is kind of, not everyone, but a lot of people are miserable. And there's a lot of working for the work's sake, the busy work. Staying in the office extra 2 hours because you can order dinner on the company's expense instead of living your life.
True.
People not leaving early even though they did the job early just because they want to show that they're in the office. So I started seeing that. As somebody got pissed off and I wrote that email and I said to my friend, I said to him like, man, fuck this. One day I'm going to travel the world. I'm going to make an impact. I'm going to help people. I'm going to make a lot of money. I'm going to speak languages. I'm going to live by the beach. And I described all of this stuff. And then fast forward a few years, became a reality. But it's not just the law of attraction. A lot of people say, oh, law of attraction. I'm going to write it down. Close my eyes. It's going to happen. I think that's part of it. But a big part of it is realizing what I don't want and what I want. A lot of us don't know. So anybody listening, to kind of tie it back to the listeners, you may be wondering, okay, what can I get out of this conversation so far? Well, a lot of people are lost in jobs they hate or businesses they hate because they haven't even defined what they don't want and what they want.
True.
And that is the first step.
Here is a question. You were in, like I would say, blue chips, A-rated companies. Did you have influences around you when you decided to step out and like, I'm done with corporate, I'll be on my own? You had some influences around you, family, friends, whatever, like say like, hey Jimmy, stop being an idiot, stay in corporate, like what the heck you're doing?
Yeah.
And how did you handle that? Because that's absolutely the norm that like when somebody's, we are social animals at the end of the day.
Yeah.
When you're trying to leave your social tribe, people will like laugh at you, attack you, and. But being in a corporate job, a proper corporate job, I would say, with the ego filled up till the end, people from outside will look at you like, are you serious? You're complaining about that? Are you complaining? And now you want to leave? How did you handle all this? And I said, look, I'll shut down. I'll put my hands here. I'm not going to listen to you. And I'm go after my passion or my dream.
But man, by the way, you are great at this stuff. This is all. I've done a whole bunch of podcasts, but this is great. The way you ask questions, you're digging out the types of things that I usually don't talk about on podcasts, because usually get on a podcast. So what's your story? Tell me about how did you whatever. I'm like, come on, it's the same shit all the time. So this is great.
People, we want to make an impact.
This is great, man. This is great. So listen, like pretty much everybody told me that you're crazy. Why would you do this? You don't know what's gonna happen. Everyone quotes those stats, like 9 out of 10 businesses will fail.
Yeah.
But I'm like, yeah, but I'm not the average guy. I'm not the average guy who's gonna fucking sit on a couch and do nothing, right? You know yourself. So I feel like that's what people forget about. It's just like with the triathlon story. I told you about my friend who did an Olympic triathlon, which involves was actually 2K swim. Was supposed to be 1.5. Was 2K swim, and she never swam. She just snorkeled, and she did it because she believed, and it took her forever, but she did it. So I feel like if you believe you're gonna do it, if you really believe, you'll figure out a way.
I'll cut you off here for one thing, because it's very important. Because you said the statement, the belief. I was talking to, like, I would say my tribe or my followers. They were talking about, like, what's the difference between a millionaire, a billionaire, and a regular person. One of the beliefs that I have is that billionaires have a very strong vision. Okay? Very strong vision where they go. And they're already over there before we reach them.
Yeah.
But it has two components. They know what they want, as you said. They know what they want. And the second component is they freaking believe that they're gonna get it.
Yeah.
So when these two components become together, that's a clear vision, a solid clear. I know what I want, and I am 100% positive, and I have the belief that I'm gonna reach there. I wanted to highlight this because a lot of people, as you said, they're lost. You need to know, yes, what you want to do in your life, but the second thing, you need to freaking believe in it. Not anybody around you can tip you off, put you on the sides. You keep believing in what you want. So go ahead again. So
this is brilliant, by the way. I'm going to add to this. I'm so glad you said this, because when people hear this, now they may be I'm trying to think about the potential silent objection, right?
True.
People may be thinking now, okay, makes sense, man, but is belief the same as confidence? Because I'm not very confident. And what people don't realize is that you can have a deep belief in yourself but not be confident. This is a weird thing, because I didn't have much confidence, but there's belief. So it's almost like, man, I'm not confident in this and this and that. I don't know if I can actually make it happen, right? But I believe that I'm destined to make something happen. Like, I know my life is going to be great because I never give up, and I'm just going to go for it. It's a weird thing.
Fuck, you really made my thoughts go high. I love that.
You resonate.
Shit. And it's a good thing because, and you're absolutely correct, there is a difference between a belief and confidence. And belief is something that you have it inside of you. Like, I believe I'll take this Alpha Global to the moon. Whatever it is, the moon I defined it is to the moon.
Yeah.
When it goes to the confidence, because a lot of people think that confidence is that you shout affirmation in the mirror and then you become confident. No. Confidence is a result based. So when I take some steps with my belief and I build wins, my confidence will go up.
Exactly.
I love that.
Exactly. Spot on.
True. I
Spot
love
on.
that, actually. The belief and confidence, correct. So how did you kick off the people, the noises around you when you were this switch? You had this belief inside of you, I'm gonna make it on the other path.
So it didn't happen instantaneously, right? So after Goldman, I ended up working for a startup company for a few months. Because I said to myself, and I'm curious if you had something like this as well, but I thought to myself, because I know you were in the corporate.
Yeah.
For myself, okay, corporate, I feel like a prisoner. I feel claustrophobic. I feel constricted. You know what I'm talking about.
Limited.
A lot of people listening to this, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You feel like you are an adult on the one hand, but you also feel kind of like a kid because someone tells you gotta be here at this time, and you can't go and pee right now. You can't go later. It's like, what's going on, man? Like, I'm not a kid, but then you kind of feel like you are. So I thought startup company, that's gonna be the freedom, But I realized very quickly, depends on a startup company, but in that particular company, I mean, the guys were great, but I had this new manager, right? And I had a pretty high position there, but there was this kind of new, I remember the title, like VP or something, but she was kind of like right below the CEO. And she had an ego, man.
Bossy.
Oh my God. We were organizing conferences, in Amsterdam, a couple of different places. And she had those weird ideas that didn't listen to feedback. And at some point I realized I gave her feedback. I told her what I thought about it in a diplomatically assertive way.
Yeah.
Not bullshitting around.
True.
I'm known for not bullshitting around. I say what I think. And she didn't like that. But then she was afraid, oh, we're in the middle of a conference. You will not quit, will you? And I'm like, nah, I'm a man of my, my word.
True.
I have honor. I'm gonna stick around. But then immediately after, I was in Budapest. I went from Amsterdam to Budapest, and I decided, I just can't do this. I would rather take a shot and fail. And I also started realizing I'm still a young guy. I was in my early, it was like 20. I was 24 years old. 24, 25. Yeah, 24 years old. And I realized, no, sorry, I think 23. I realized, you know what? What if I fail? What's going to happen?
True.
If you fail at 50, okay, there are different consequences.
Yeah.
You may have kids, you may have a wife, right? You may have
True
bunch of
responsibilities,
mortgages.
true.
Yeah, but back then, I'm thinking to myself, I had my girlfriend that I was actually about to break up with. We decided to break up that same week, and I'm like, we are breaking up. And one of the reasons was that we had different paths in life. She wanted a stable life. I wanted to go out there and make things happen. I still loved her. She loved me, but we realized we go in different directions. I'm thinking, well, now I'm going to be free. Why not just burn all the fucking bridges? So
And the boats even.
bro, I burned all the bridges. I went to the CEO. I'll never forget. I told him, listen, man, I love what you're doing here, but I just can't work for someone. He said, come on, man, stay. We have big future together. I'm like, I just can't do this. I can't do this. And he said, okay, can you do me a favor? Stay for a little bit so you train some of the people. And some of my buddies in the company, they were confused because I was smiling a lot. They were like, bro, you lost your job. Why are you smiling? I'm like, you don't understand. I did not lose my job. I decided to get the fuck out. But it's tough, it's tough because your parents, and kudos to my parents, they thought I was making a mistake, but they never told me, hey, we're gonna disown you as a son, you are making a mistake. No, they told me, look, do what you gotta do, but this is very risky. Most of my friends told me, like, this is not gonna work, man. Like we love you, we respect you, but it's not gonna work.
True.
But you gotta trust that inner voice and just go after it. And that's it.
How did you start on, I know it happened in corporate,
Yeah.
but your travel adventure careers, not career, but path. And it's very important. I want you to pick some moments from these, like training Muay Thai, going to the Himalayas. I want you to pick some moments.
Interesting moments.
And share it with us. And it's super important to tell us how these things, because it absolutely has cultural differences, how these things shaped you now.
Oh man, like they made me who I am.
Yeah.
I really believe if you want to grow as a person, you gotta go out there. You gotta embrace adventure. You gotta travel because you gotta see the world. Because you test your assumptions, right?
True.
We all have assumptions. We think if I go to Dubai, it's good. Actually, Dubai is an interesting thing. People often say Dubai is full of rich sheikhs, and there's a desert, and there's one city, and that's it. There's no green here. Then you come here and you realize there's everything here, right? You have people from all over the planet. Everyone is so tolerant. People are super nice. There's so many opportunities. You go to Rak in the south. You've got the mountains, Jebel Jays.
True.
You've got all that stuff. So we got to test assumptions. So nothing teaches you more about the world than, for example, chatting to kids in Cambodia, right? Street kids.
Yeah.
Or people who are landmine victims. They lost their limbs. And just ask them, how was it, right? Or you go to Brazil and everybody tells you, hey man, when you go to Brazil, they're going to kidnap you. And you're like, shit, maybe is it true? But then you decide to go anyway, and you go, and yes, it's not the safest.
You can manage yourself.
But if you are not a dumbass, you should be fine. And then you meet some incredible people, and you realize that just because people say Brazil is extremely dangerous, it doesn't mean that everywhere in Brazil is dangerous. And then you go to Brasilia, which is the capital, and your mates don't even lock their cars. Or you go to Florianopolis, and you leave your phone on the table in a restaurant, right? So it's interesting. I could give you a lot of examples, but I went to Pakistan recently. People told me, man, you're going to get kidnapped. I went to the K2 region, right, on an expedition. So you are there, you're gone through the glaciers, very remote area. And yes, at the base camp of Nanga Parbat over 10 years ago, a bunch of climbers got killed, right, by the Taliban. But just because it happened 10 years ago, you won't travel there? Come on, right? And people were incredible. super welcoming, very nice people. So testing assumptions, also learning about yourself in uncomfortable situations. Now, the biggest misconception, I want to make it valuable for the audience here, right? Rather than just telling the stories. One of the biggest misconceptions is that you got to have a lot of money to travel. It's very easy to look at guys like you and I and say, it's easy for you to talk about traveling. I don't have the money. I started traveling when I was dead broke. I would hitchhike. I hitchhiked across Europe with fucking nothing. I would sleep in tents. I slept
On the beach.
on the beach. Yeah, I know you did. You did your homework, man. I know. I slept on beaches in Italy, at Lido Island. You know, I just got a tent, slept on the beach. You know, for free. Supermarket food. I slept on a bench in Vienna in a park, and then you wake up and there's a bunch of homeless people around you. I had a screwdriver always next to me just in case.
Protection.
Yeah. I literally slept with a screwdriver. I'm not. By the way, to make it straight, I'm not recommending you to sleep on a bench with a screwdriver. But what I'm saying is, I did that, right?
And you were broke, so it doesn't need a lot of money. You don't need travel luxury.
Yeah.
But you need to travel to learn from cultures.
Yeah.
To sculpt yourself, to create your character, your behaviors and attitudes. You know, Jimmy, my first travel, when I was headhunted by Samsung to go to South Korea. And at that period of time, I knew nothing about South Korea. And then I won the interviews and so on and so forth. And
When was it, by the way?
Oh shit. When this was black and was full. So let's go back 20 years. But the interesting thing was I hated it.
Yeah.
Which means when I went to Korea, the first week, 10 days, I was, man, I want to go back.
Interesting.
I want to go back. Catch me after a month. I didn't want to go back. I enjoyed the culture. I learned a lot. I developed myself. I understood how I developed versus my peers back home. I didn't want to go back. And from that, my travel journey is of course not comparable to you, but expanded so much because I saw the value of traveling.
Yeah.
Speaking to, I'm not going to say different race, to different people, experience different cultures, learn from them, develop myself. I kept traveling and traveling to build myself. And I didn't want to go back.
Interesting. I feel like, I feel like I gesticulate a lot, you know. So I feel like it's kind of like with jumping into an ice bath.
True.
I think that could be a good analogy for this, because it's when you travel to a new place, Korea in this case. I suppose for you could not resonate with the culture.
100%, totally different.
Language.
True.
And I've been to Korea, but now I guess you probably went 15 years ago, something 20 years ago. Most people, even now, don't speak English.
Correct.
So you're like, I'm alone here. I don't know anybody. What's going on? You know, I want directions. How do I do it? How do I handle myself? Where are my friends? But then, so when you get into ice bath, to kind of draw a parallel here, any cold water, I'm pretty sure anybody listening to this had an experience of cold water. You get in initially, hyperventilating, right? Trembling, chicken dance.
Yeah.
What most people do is just get out. This is not for me. I don't like cold. That's the biggest mistake you can make in life. This is not for me. What does that mean? No, you stay a bit longer, you get out and you get back in, recover the breath. And what happens after a minute or two is really fascinating. You adjust to the new environment. In terms of the ice bath, right? Your blood from extremity starts moving to your core to protect your vital organs. Here you don't feel the pain anymore. And at some point you start feeling the fire inside, right? It's very interesting. You're like, I actually feel pretty warm. So it's kind of the same when you travel to a new place, or when you start a business, or when you do anything new, learn a new language, start speaking on stages for the first time. It doesn't matter what it is. Initially, there's a massive resistance, but you got to go through that resistance because it's going to get better. And the problem is that in the moment when you feel discomfort, it's very hard to even visualize that it's going to get better. We oftentimes, as humans, we assume it's going to feel exactly the way it's feeling right now. And this is one of the biggest mistakes we can make, because we end up just staying in that comfort zone. And a lot of people say, magic happens beyond comfort zone. So people find it sometimes cheesy, but people say this for a reason. That's really where the best stuff is.
Jimmy, very interesting you've mentioned, because it fits you 100%. A lot of people have fears. We absolutely know that you won't be able to excel in your life without facing your fears. As an adventurer, you didn't face just mental fears, fears, but you also faced physical fears.
Yeah.
Which means like, okay, I'm thinking to change a job. I have a mental fear that like, oh shit, the next job will be shit, correct?
Yeah.
But when you're going to an adventure, you have a mental fear, like, oh shit, that's can be so risky. And at the same time, you're fighting physically to pass through this fear. So as a guy did this, how people should act with fear, or how you act with fear. What's your mindset with fear?
Interesting. There's one of those questions we could
forever.
We could go for hours and hours. But what helped me a lot? Here's the thing, right? Beginning of my journey, I genuinely thought it's all about personal development that's intellectual, right? Just what you say to yourself, the affirmations, identity, all of that type of stuff. Then over time, you realize that a lot of personal development comes from tuning into the physical, tuning into your breath, learning what to do with your body, right? So when people want to learn how to overcome fear, like, by the way, first of all, you can never fully overcome fear. That's bullshit. You don't. I know a whole bunch of fighters, professional fighters.
Of course.
I know guys who had literally, no kidding, over 500 fights, and to this day they feel afraid before they get into a ring, right? Mountaineers who climbed a ton of mountains, they still feel that fear sometimes. This fear is good. Fear is there to help you. So what you want to do is, because I don't want to go too much on, in different directions, right? I want to package this. First of all, you want to acknowledge that fear is okay. You don't want to judge yourself for feeling fear, because a lot of people judge themselves. Oh, I'm afraid, therefore I'm a loser. So now you get into this downward spiral. Oh, I'm a loser. The more you say this to yourself, the more you feel the negative emotions. They're reflected in your body. Now your body language is all messed up, so now you feel even worse. No, acknowledge at first, fear is normal. Everyone experiences fear, right? And then a lot of fear is very emotional. It's stuck in your body. So when you emotionally feel fear, you want to use your logic to overcome that fear. So what I would do, for example, is I would ask myself, what are the odds that something is going to go wrong? Say you're going up some mountain and there's a landslide area, and you're looking up and you realize, okay, I have like maybe 1K to go here, and it's going to be very slow. So maybe it's going to be half an hour walking through this. And if this thing goes down, that's it. There's nowhere I can go. There's a massive serac over there, or there's just a bunch of rocks. And you realize if this goes down, that's it. It's over. So you don't really have control, right? So when I see that, I then ask myself, okay, but what are the odds it's going to happen? How often did it happen in this area? How many people actually died in this area? And how many people went through this area? And when you run the numbers, and nowadays you can find numbers just like this, even Perplexity, you can find it using AI very easily. You realize, wow, like a lot of people have done this and they are still alive. Like, for example, I was doing the Jibble J's zip line.
Yeah.
And I was joking with the guys, they were strapping me, so it's like 2.8K zip line. You go 150 to 200 per hour. I love shit like this.
Yeah,
so I was joking with the guys, and I said to this guy, hey brother, I'm making a video. We had a video crew over. There was a project, so I'm making a video. I said to this guy, hey man, I'm not paying attention. I trust you. Don't forget about any strap and don't get distracted. And he said, brother, look at your wristband. 132,000 people did this. They know nobody died. And I'm thinking, this is brilliant. Because when you look at it, you realize 132,000 people did it and no one died, right? So that's how I recommend approaching. So that's one angle. The second angle is, again, not just using the logic and your intellect, but going back into your body and using your breathing, right? Doing breathing exercises. Meditation is so important. On the micro scale in the moment, but also on the long scale. So I feel like in order to utilize meditation, mindfulness, breathing in the moment when you experience a fearful situation, to be able to do that really well, you have to put in the reps every day. You have to build it up, right? Because let's say that there is let's say we are in a restaurant and two guys with knives walk in and they just want to take everybody out, right? The natural response is shallow breathing, The heart beating fast, like, what do I do? What do I do? Panic, 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 right? It's very hard to meditate in this moment. It's very hard to get yourself into the present and recalibrate and focus on your breathing. But if you spend the last 5 years doing breath work every day, doing meditation every day, purposely putting yourself in situations of fight and flight, getting into ice, doing hard things, doing sprints,
True.
where you feel like your lungs are burning, and now you're gonna okay, let's do it again now, right? You do those things, you train yourself, so now when those two guys walk in, yes, you still feel your heartbeat elevated, but now we look at each other. All right, man, let's take them down. What do we have there? Oh, there's a fork. Okay.
True.
Oh, I have a pen on me. Oh, there's a chair. Right? So it always has to be the long-term macro scale preparation. So then on the micro scale, in the short term, you can utilize some of those tools.
I love this, and I want to circle back to a couple of things you've mentioned.
Of course, yeah.
Because it's very important for the viewers to understand. When we talk about people that they don't fear, there are two angles to it. Every person fears.
Yeah.
But the difference between a person who fears that stops his action from going ahead and another person that going ahead with it is he never underestimates his ability to pass this. So for example, I'm a human. Yes, I have fears, but I never doubted my ability to pass this thing. So the confidence in yourself, your belief, and.
Yeah.
So everyone believes, fears, 100%. Everybody have his own fears. The second thing that you mentioned, which is very interesting, people have to listen to this, because a lot of people, I don't want to be an idiot like you, which means, oh my God, he's doing all these crazy things. Yes, he's doing all these crazy things, but don't forget he has brains. He analyze, assess, put logic to it, and then he can assess, will I do it or not?
Yeah.
So there is an assessment part to it. It's not just like, oh my God, that's risky, I'm gonna jump into it, I don't feel. No. Everybody, you said when you're going down the slope and you see this, no, how many times it happened? Okay, I feel I can pass through this, no problem. So everybody has the assessment. The third thing about fear that I would love to share with you, there was a research was done on people diving from the sky.
Oh,
Okay?
skydiving.
Skydiving. So they put monitors on their heart rate to check their heart rate from the ground till they reach the point of jumping, and then jumping, right? So they've noticed that the heart rate was super high before they reached the level or the height that they were gonna jump. So they, that's fear.
Yeah.
But the point they didn't reach yet, the action. You understand? Like their heart rate is high. The interesting thing, when they jumped, the heart rate was.
Makes sense.
So it means when you have the fear is an illusion at the end of the day. It's not real. It's your body is protecting you for future things.
Yes.
So it's a future thing. So take this moment, assess the fear, be confident about your abilities that you can, with the information that you have, that you can pass this thing with regards to the adventure, with regards to a business decision, with regards to a project that you want to pass. Have a belief in yourself with the information that you have, the knowledge to assess it and say, yes, I can make it. You have fears, I have fears. But we never say like, I won't be able to do it.
Yeah.
No, we have fears, but let me find a way to do it.
This is brilliant, man. And you know, to tie back to the skydiving example, one of the reasons is that when you are stuck on a plane, when you go up, and have you skydived? Yeah. So you know the feeling. True. Yeah, you're there and you're kind of trapped. There's nothing you can do. So the energy is increasing. What's going on with this energy? You really can't do anything with this energy. But the moment you jump, you're taking action, and that's why really one key. And I like how we approach this from different angles, because everyone will take different thing and improve their lives. One thing you want to do is, before fear gets overwhelming, you just want to take action. You just want to go for it. That's why with public speaking, I always tell people, when, let's say you sit in a room full of people, someone says, hey, we want everyone at some point to share your biggest takeaway from this mastermind. Yeah. And you're like, oh my God.
Exactly.
It's not going to get better. And you will have to say something. So be the first one to do it. Who wants to share? I'm going to share. Bam. No
Done.
pressure.
True.
Well, there's pressure, but there's less pressure. And you go for it. So taking action is so important. But also what you say to yourself is really important because actually, let's do this. Like I want everybody listening to this. Just imagine for a moment that you are on a plane, small plane. You thought it's gonna be one of those 737s, but one of those turboprops, super old one pulled up.
Shit, I wasn't there. I had this experience.
Yeah. Tiny plane.
Absolutely.
You get in.
You bend when you're entering. There is no super. Absolutely shit.
So imagine you get in there, and someone next to you is like a bit bigger person, so you barely have any space. You're kind of between the window and that person,
True.
and it's stifling. AC is not working properly, and now you know the weather's bad, and you take off, and now the captain says, "Well, this unexpected turbulence, and go left and right." Just imagine how it would this feel. What would you feel? Probably your palms are sweating, your heart is beating fast, right? Start having thousands of thoughts in your head like, holy shit, this is going down. You know, this is my last day, right?
True.
But you physically, you feel all of those different things. Now, I'm curious, what would be the reaction on the flip side if you go to the room to talk to a potential partner and they tell you, you know what, we want to do a deal with you and we're going to pay you what you ask for. And we're going to send a wire today. And in fact, we want to make 2 more deals with you because we really enjoy working with you. You probably feel very similar. Your heart is going to beat really fast. You're going to get exhilarated. Same thing. You will be sweating. You'll be like, holy shit, I can't believe you have thousands of thoughts. The only difference is that in the second scenario is something positive and the outcome is positive, right? So what you want to do is when a fearful situation happens, a lot of us, we just focus on this is going to go bad. This is going to be terrible. I'm going to die. The parachute is not going to open. Or I'm going to get a panic attack on a stage. And when you, now then you want to transition this to something positive. But usually what happens when you try to think about something positive instead, your brain plays a trick on you and tells you, listen, buddy, no. Don't focus too much on positive because you need to prep yourself for the worst case scenario. So go back to the negative.
True.
That's why it's so hard. And I experienced this myself. It's so hard to really truthfully focus on the positive outcome because part of your brain is always playing tricks on you, but the trick really is to do that, to say to yourself, you know what, fuck it, it's gonna go well. I'm excited because it's gonna go well. I know it's gonna go well. And when you do that, you transition all that energy from anxiety to exhilaration. Now there still will be some element of fear, but it's interesting what happens when you combine those things and you focus on the positive outcome. You focus on whatever you feel in your body and you realize this is excitement because I'm about to get into the battlefield. And then you step in. You don't overthink it, you step in. That's when the magic happens.
True. You know, I'm thinking, because, you know, you're saying nuggets. So I had an experience back then. One of my trips from back home to Korea. And I was on a flight, Korean Air, one of the top in the world. Literally, in terms of safety and was in the middle of the flight, the plane had a nosedive.
Oh shit.
An absolute nosedive.
Wow.
I felt that I'm sitting in the cockpit. Like look, I felt that everything is over. And you know, like your whole life story passed through your eyes and like, oh shit. And at that moment, I was so fearful. Absolutely. Like, what the heck? We're done. The only thing that made me get back to my senses, that I had to accept it. Like, okay, I'm gonna die. Let's die well. Literally.
I love it.
You understand? Like, and I had several examples out of this in my life. Sometimes, yeah, there are fear, but you fear of an outcome. If you accept the outcome, if I don't have a control over it, like we're talking about a plane crash, you can do nothing. If you literally accept it, the fear is gone. I wasn't flying, I don't know why all with flights. I was flying from Cairo to Baghdad. Baghdad to Cairo. And once the plane took off, the water system in the plane fucked up, so the water came into the cabins, was as if in a swimming pool.
Oh wow.
The same shit. So there is one part of me that I say yes, as a fear perspective. When the fear, I can control part of the outcome. Yes, assess. understand that fear is an illusion. But when fear is equal to a risk, like I know the end result looks like it's shit.
Yeah.
Just be a man and accept it. Because that's correlates a lot with what you're saying.
Just letting go.
Let go. I'm gonna die like till the last second of my life. I'm gonna be shaking.
Yeah.
You understand? Like that's the last second. The last second on earth. I'm gonna be like this. No, just accept it and let's see what is gonna go.
You know what's funny? You're talking about planes. My friend, you met Ollie Ollerton. He's a former SBS Special Forces soldier, right? So I asked him, I said, hey man, because I'm heading back to the Himalayas. I'm like, how do you like those little planes that go to Lukla?
Oof.
You know, it's a tiny plane and, you know, they're really sketchy. They're like, I don't know how old, but 50, 60 years old. It's crazy, right?
They're flying by God's grace. Yeah.
Yeah, literally. Yeah. And Ollie said to me, he said, oh, mate, it's no problem, you know? Like when I was in a war zone, like we're just glad that no one was shooting the rockets, because that was the usual, you know, like they launch rockets at you, so you actually have to nosedive. You have to pilot has all types of things. So he said, you know what, in Nepal, I mean, there are no rockets, so it's all good. And then he said something, but that's Ollie, you know. You just met him, but you gotta love Ollie when you probably hang with him. He said, by the way, mate, what a way to go out. What a way. And I'm like, and I kind of get what he's saying, because you can't get out of life alive, right?
Of course.
We're all gonna die.
There is an end to everything.
Yeah, so I don't want to be the guy who, you know, is in the hospital, because I've seen this. My grandpa, for example, unfortunately, was fighting in the Second World War. We had all types of health issues, and it was terrible to see a person suffer, you know, for the last few years of his life. Frankly, I would rather
pop off earlier.
Yeah, but just in one of those.
100%.
Because this also shows that you're really living your life to the fullest. But I want to add one more thing to this, because okay, letting go, that's one thing. Another thing is leadership, embracing leadership. When you feel responsible for other people, you don't worry that much about yourself. I had a situation on a plane getting to the Canary Islands. Hurricane winds was over 100k per hour. I don't know how. It was Lufthansa out of all. Great airline, Lufthansa.
Yeah,
I was with my ex going to La Palma Island. It's a small volcanic island with one airport, and it's sketchy. It's pretty much like a volcano. It's like on the side of a cliff, the airport, and the winds were so strong. Like at some point, maybe already half an hour before landing, suddenly, right? You know the feeling when it's not the regular turbulence, but it's. By the way, after this episode, people be afraid to fly. But hey, guess what, guys? We are alive. We are alive.
Exactly.
You know? To tell but it's one of those. I was like, holy shit, and people screamed.
Yeah.
Now, German people are not very known for screaming. They keep their emotions in check, but people scream, right? So I'm like, okay, because we read about the hurricane winds, and I was surprised we on the plane anyway. So we're about to land, and it was so sketchy, just left, right, bam, 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 and people are screaming, and we are very close to the ground. And at some point, the captain says, landing aborted, impossible to land. But you could tell, they're supposed to not panic, but you could tell in his voice. And flight attendants, when you look at them, when they are scared shitless, now you know. So people are screaming. But on that plane, I was actually reading a book, The Warrior Afest, by Stephen Pressfield, who's a dear friend. He also wrote The War of Art, amazing books. But The Warrior Afest is a great book. And I was rereading that book, and it's all about embracing the warrior mentality. So, you know, it's fresh on my mind, and I'm there, and everyone's screaming, and I'm like, I tend to do that. It happened to me a few times, and I spoke up. I looked to the right. I'm like, listen up, everybody. It's gonna be fine. Had the situation before. It's gonna be fine. Calm down. And I didn't believe in a fucking word I said. And I held my ex's hand, and then it's gonna be fine. It's gonna be fine. But it's also affirmation for myself.
Of course.
And interestingly,
and stepping up.
Yes.
At that moment, people need somebody to lead. And that's an empty spot. That's why people were screaming. But if somebody affirmed them like everything will be fine, you're giving them hope.
Yeah, and brother, know what? Like afterwards, some people still, but people calm down. Aborted the landing, had to do emergency landing on a different island, right? But after the landing, my ex, it was interesting. She told me, when you said that and you looked at me, she said, I know you so well. I knew you were bullshitting, but it still helped me.
True.
But strangers told me, thank you for doing that, because you calmed us down. Thank you for saying that. And it's interesting because this is there are moments like this in everyday life to just embrace that everyday leadership. But tying this to fear, you notice that when you embrace that, you are less fearful because now you create a role you gotta step into.
Of course.
Right? You create that role you gotta step into. And it has to do with identity, right? You know, you can't be sitting like this, like the shooting duck over there. Like, oh my God, we're gonna die. This is the end. Oh, I'm gonna die with all my best gifts inside of me, right?
True.
That's bullshit.
I love that.
Embrace, almost get pissed off, almost like it's like, fuck, I'm gonna die.
Shit.
Let me get out with power.
That statement is strong. When you're facing fear, create a spot that you need to fill. That's what you did. It's actually a lovely one. You created a spot that I need to look strong. I need to guide people. I need to lead people. And I'm going to stick to that. So you can be shaky by saying that. That's an amazing thing.
And paradoxically, you feel that.
Absolutely. And you push yourself that, like, no, I need to pass this kind of fear.
Yeah.
I love that. Jim, I want to go a little bit
I love this conversation,
detail.
man.
Yeah, man. It's a great one. I want to talk about confidence a little bit. A lot of youngsters have this issue and request, like, how can we build their confidence? Like, if people listening to us from this episode, watching us, and they want practical steps to build their confidence. What could be your advices for them from a guy who worked in corporate, had a great, I would say, journey and still much more to come from traveling, adventures? What could be your 3-4 advices or steps that they could do to gain or build up their confidence?
Let's get into it, man. I've got a bunch of courses out there that I've got my bestsellers are confidence courses. I could talk about this for hours. But what I've learned over the years is that I mentioned this right at the beginning, that people overly focus on intellectual, and you got to sometimes get back into your body, and also you got to play with creating results.
True.
So I've seen a lot of people who try to embrace more confidence by just working on writing down their identity, which is, by the way, which is great, or just doing the affirmations. But what I really believe in, the best way to do it is to ask yourself, what is the type of hero that I would want to become over the next, say, 12 months? Like, what would my hero look like, right? If I was to turn into a hero, how would I look like? Do I have a six-pack? Do I have big muscles? Or maybe I have amazing cardio and I'm weighed a bit less. Design that person physically, intellectually, right? Emotionally, how do you handle emotions? How do you step up? How do you talk to people? How do people treat you? Design that person. Design that perfect person that you would want to become, say, 12 months from now. And then just ask yourself what that person would do on a daily basis. And just start stacking up those habits and stacking up wins. And it's something that became quite popular recently. A lot of people say, well, you got to stack up wins, but for a good reason, because really a lot of confidence comes from that. You know, the reason I speak on a lot of stages, right? And like recently, even Mind Validating, Vishen told me spontaneously, hey man, can you host the VIP party? No problem, you know, sure. It's my standard response.
Step up.
Yeah, step up. Or remember, he got me to the stage day one, just randomly, just massive, it's like 3,000 people, I think they have 3,500 people, something like that. He was like, he put my picture there, my LinkedIn profile. He said, Jimmy, come over to the stage. I want to do a demonstration on you.
Yeah.
And I got in there. Now people say, oh, you're so confident, you are natural. Fuck no. I've done hundreds and hundreds of presentations. I ran away from a stage when I was at university because I was terrified and I had a panic attack. But then I kept pushing myself over and over again. I kept training. I read probably over 1,000 books. I kept practicing, doing a ton of videos to the point where even now that I'm speaking to you, I already kind of know how the video looks like. It's a weird thing, you know? So that's practice. And that practice is going to make you confident, because when that fear shows up, you say to yourself, and we talked about it before, right? I've done this before. I can handle this. So again, stacking up wins, but starting small. So especially for the kids, for the teenagers, for I guess probably a lot of young boys are watching this. I can imagine that your target audience, a lot of the people are 17, 18, 20, 25 to like even early 30s, right?
Yeah, to 35.
we're kind of a little bit lost and they want to just awaken the inner alpha. The best way to do it to build confidence, start with physical. Really start with physical. Stack up wins physically. And people also get this wrong. A lot of people think, oh, I'm going to train at the gym, so then one day I can do a sparring session. So one day I can do a triathlon, or I can do an Oceanman or a Spartan race, or go climb a mountain, or do even a half marathon. No. What you want to do is you want to pick a challenge. And I actually want to encourage anybody listening. Pick a challenge. Could be 3 months from now, 6 months from now. Just fucking sign up for it. Just sign up for the challenge, and then you figure out how to get there. Sign up and tell everybody about it. Now you have a real purpose for training. You're no longer just showing up at the gym, going through the motions, checking your phone, doing one of those bullshit workouts that nowadays is so popular. You know, people spend 2 hours at the gym, but they actually did like 20 sets. What the hell is that? That's ridiculous. You know, no, you go after it because there is a bigger purpose. But what's going to happen is, as you're going through it, it's not just about building muscle, building cardio, right, or endurance. It's about you knowing when you look in the mirror that you're the type of person that shows up every day no matter what.
True.
The first step, right? But then also you want to ask yourself, how can I improve myself in other important life skills? So a lot of people are obsessed with, because personal development is a tricky thing, right? A lot of people are not in it, which is bad, but a lot of people use it as a mental masturbation.
True.
It's like watching porn,
Exactly.
basically. It's like, so a lot of people read way too many books and watch way too many podcasts, but it's almost like watching a lot of porn and thinking you had a bunch of great dates.
True.
That's BS.
There is no action related to it. True.
Yeah. So what you want to do is you want to ask yourself, okay, this is the person I want to become 12 months from now. What are the qualities of character? What are some of the skills? Maybe adding an extra language. You know how amazing it feels to speak
True.
multiple languages? It's a beautiful feeling. You can connect with people anywhere.
True.
Socially, romantically, business-wise. When I meet someone, I want to make a deal, and let's say they tell me they are, I don't know, from, say, Latin America. I'm like, oh, eres de Colombia, hermano, ¿qué pasa? They're like, holy shit, you speak Spanish. It makes an impression.
True.
You build a bond. You close better deals, right? So it could be a language. Could be a basic ability to start conversations, right? Learning social skills. But you want to define those, and you just want to obsess over it and practice every day. Social skills are actually a big thing.
True.
Every person should learn social skills, not just by passively getting into social situations.
One of the most important things these days. True.
Yeah. Be proactive. 3 strangers a day challenge. You could challenge yourself every day. I'll initiate a conversation with 3 strangers. Could be initially a cleaner, could be a cashier.
Waiter, whatever. True.
Yeah. Instead of just saying hi, thank you, goodbye, or waiter comes over, oh hey, I'm gonna get baba ganoush with whatever, thank you. You just say, hey man, by the way, I noticed your name. Are you from Brazil? Oh, that's cool. I was in Brazil. You know, initially you may feel uncomfortable doing that, but you do it for enough days. This is gonna become a second nature. You'll realize that now you can initiate conversations with groups of people. Maybe you go to some type of event, you see a group, you come over, you say, hey, what's up? My name is Jimmy Naraine. Pleasure to meet you guys. Where do you come from? Oh, you guys look like you know each other, right? And then maybe after a few months, you realize, man, like I feel like I could talk on a stage. But it's about building up and never stopping. Never stopping.
Jimmy, it's important for people watching us now. I personally believe a lot of people these days lack confidence way more than back in the days.
Yeah.
Much more. Why do you think that's the case?
Because we are soft. We are way too
Becoming
soft.
soft.
Yeah.
True.
Speaking of being soft, I'm going to be a bit soft now. Brother, can we get some more water, please? Water is important.
True.
But people are soft nowadays because... Should I...
No, it's fine. Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. So everything is available, right? I mean, obviously water, you got to hydrate yourself,
True.
right? Never be too soft with water. But when it comes to delivery apps, we overuse them. Access to porn, access to social media. We have those quick, cheap dopamine hits all the time, right? To the point where you can get enough dopamine every day to feel like you're making something out of your life and never get out there. But then you get the dopamine depletion, the crash, and you realize, fuck, I'm a nobody. So now your self-image suffers. You look in the mirror and you realize that you are living an easy life, you are not creating anything of value, I mean, how can you be confident if you don't do anything? So it's a problem. That's why I feel like one of the best ways to overcome that is to purposely embrace pain. Embrace pain. Find moments of, and I'm going to quote Joe DeSena here. I want to give kudos to Joe DeSena, the founder of the Spartan Race. Great guy. Embrace purposeful suffering, because this way you reset your frame of reference.
True.
To give an example, so yesterday I was doing that Olympic triathlon, right, in rack. And, you know, it was cold. I didn't have my wetsuit. I just did a tri-suit, you know, in cold water. The course was a bit longer than expected. Pushed myself. Was a cool race. And obviously afterwards, you feel it in your legs, feel it in your lungs. Banged out a 10-minute ice bath after. But today when I walk up, I'm like, whoa, I feel like I was doing a heavy sparring session. But I tell you what, normally I'm an ADHD type of guy. I'm all over the place. But it's so nice to sit here, man, because I don't need to run anymore. I don't need to cycle anymore. You know what I mean? So when you reset your frame of reference, you get to embrace the basic things in life. How can you possibly appreciate a warm shower if you haven't felt cold? How can you appreciate a meal, not even a delicious meal? How can you appreciate a dal with rice or a sandwich if you haven't been hungry? How can you appreciate your loved one if you just see them every day, right? You kind of take them for granted. How can you appreciate, let's say, your romantic partner if you always have them in front of you? It's very different when you go on a trip or maybe some type of expedition, especially with an element of danger, and you miss them and then you come back and you embrace them. It's a completely different feeling. So we need contrast. Freud used to say actually that we need contrast. Good happiness comes from contrast. I don't believe in everything Freud said, but I believe in that. We need contrast in our lives, but instead of waiting for moments of contrast, create it. Create those moments ideally every day. Now, addressing silent objection, people may be saying, yeah, man, great stuff. Good for you guys. You can go climb mountains, do ice baths. I'm not there. I'm overweight. I have 2 jobs, or I have 5 kids, or I deal with depression. And I get that. It's fucking tough sometimes. And these times are really confusing. I understand that it may be tough to get started. But the point I want to make here is that when you reset your frame of reference, it's not always about going for the big things. You got to start somewhere. Could be something as simple as
climb the stairs, go the stairs up and down, don't take the elevator.
Exactly.
Then take small steps.
Exactly. Small steps. Or literally a little thing. You say, well, gym is too far. I don't know if I can do it. Or I'm ashamed of how I look. That's actually quite common. I'm ashamed of how I look. So, you know, so I'll go to the gym when I look better. Like, how do you expect to do that? But the bridge you could build in this case is, you know what? I'll sign up for the gym. I'll go there in 1 month from now. But for those 30 days, every morning, no matter what, religiously, I'll do only 5 minutes of exercise. 5 minutes as my minimum. And then in the evening, I'll just do another 5 minutes of stretching. And now people would say, well, but that's not going to give you anything. This is not the point.
It's building up.
It's building up, but you know what happens once you do 5 minutes. We've all done it. I'm sure you had training sessions with your buddies. I'm staying with Ollie right now with Laura, right? We had so many times when he's like, you want to go to the gym? Just quick half an hour. We go to the gym and the next thing you know, we already in it.
True.
And then he says, hey man, I have a podcast or I have to handle something. You coming or are you going to stay? I'm like, you know, I have a bit of time. I'm going to stay. 1 hour later, stretching, doing a bunch of stuff. So when you start with 5 minutes every morning, sometimes it's going to be 5 minutes. And you got to reward yourself for that. Not with a fucking donut. But you got to pat yourself on the back, look in the mirror, say, you know what? You're the winner. You're the fucking winner because you've done it. You've done 5 minutes and that's it. That's all we were supposed to do. Bam, that's a win. Ideally, put it down. But there will be the days where you'll say, you know what? I can do more. And you may do 10 minutes, 20 minutes, half an hour, or even longer. The key is don't overdo it every day because then it may backfire the yo-yo and then you stop doing it. But write all this stuff down. Write down all of those wins. Look, to this day, I do it. I write down, not always, not disclaim, not always, right? I'm full-time nomadic for 12 years. So I don't live in one place. I have like over 1,000 booking.com bookings, right? So I don't have like a one whiteboard. But whenever I stay in a place for longer than 2 weeks, I buy a whiteboard. And then I just give it away to some kids, you know? And I write down wins. I wake up in the morning, I've done this. Bam, that's a win. That's a win. That's a win. That's a win. Little things like you learn a new language. I did 5 minutes of vocabulary. Bam, that's a win. Oh, I helped somebody. There was an old lady who needed help.
Even if it's a small one,
Yeah.
it racks up.
Brother, like little things. Maybe you gave good advice to somebody. That's a win. The free strangers dating we were talking about, this little challenge, right?
True.
Maybe you did that. You talked to the cashier. And a lot of people, unfortunately, who work in those types of jobs, they're treated like a part of machinery, right? They're not treated like human beings. So now you gave that person some light in their shitty day.
True.
And now you gave them hope. And they're like, wow, it was a really terrible day. I've been here just working, doing those groceries. And finally, somebody saw the person in me. That is a win. Put it down, put it down, put it down. Next thing you know, you have 10 wins, 20 wins in a day. You stack
Jimmy,
them up.
I love the conversation with confidence, but a lot of people have a confidence problem, and they have limiting beliefs issues. What's your take on limiting beliefs?
Limiting beliefs, specifically.
A lot of people
This is a
have
big
their limiting beliefs holding them back, whether it's good, whether it's bad, whether it's related to their culture that they grew in. Let's say, for example, some people have limiting beliefs with their, I would say, physical appearance, fitness, that they believe culturally that to become fit, it's expensive. You need to go to a great gym, buy super healthy meals. That's limiting belief that's holding them back.
Yeah.
Or people who wants to become wealthy, they think money is the root of all evil. Money doesn't grow on trees. How do you help people to break such limiting beliefs in order to propel them to their potential?
Thanks for clarifying, because this is a huge topic.
Sure.
It can go many different directions. Based on this question, two things come to mind right away. Number one, find people who had the same limiting beliefs and just model them. Don't reinvent the wheel. What's the point of
True.
reinventing the wheel? You want to build certain type of business, find someone who managed to do it, who was in your situation before, and just figure out how they
It's
did
not
it.
nuclear science.
Yeah,
Correct.
Yeah, this is actually the simple thing, right? The not so simple thing is examining where your limiting beliefs came from. Because a lot of us, we have those limiting beliefs, but we don't really understand
Sure.
them. We feel like, oh, well, but my nose is too big, or I'm too short, or I'm not smart enough. But we never question where those limiting beliefs came from. A lot of the times, these are childhood traumas that have nothing to do with reality, right?
True.
Maybe at some point you were sitting and I actually met a guy, obviously not going to share the name, but
Yeah.
very, very nice, like very manly guy, actually, like super nice, kind soul. At the same time, like has some muscle, has this masculine power, but gets really stressed out whenever a waiter asks him for his order. It's very interesting.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I worked with him a little bit on this, and we realized that when he was younger, he would sit at the family table, and whenever he wanted to say something, shut up, you're not supposed to speak. So he learned that he is not worthy enough of speaking up. Now, obviously, just realizing where it came from won't solve all your issues, but now you know what you're working with. Now, once you recognize that pattern, you can choose to get curious about it. So rather than being afraid of that situation, like say with a waiter, you can say to yourself, you know what, I'm going to the restaurant. No one knows me here. I'm just going to order, and I'm just going to pay attention to what's happening in my body while I'm going through this. So you embrace curiosity, right? A lot of people have limiting beliefs with public speaking, for instance.
True.
You were a little kid, and this happens so often in public schools in Poland. I mean, I still remember the times when, but probably my stage fright came from that, now that I think about it, because I remember you have this massive class of like 35, 40, 55 kids sometimes, it's crazy massive classes. Public school, there's a bunch of hooligans there as well. And then you have a music class, and the teacher says, okay, today so-and-so will sing in front of the class. I mean, if you have a beautiful voice, that's great. But man, when you are have a knuckle dragger like voice like me, like I don't have a singing voice, you go in front of the class and it's not really working. Now kids are laughing, but now the teacher, instead of recognizing this, some of those teachers, I don't know what they were doing there,
True.
how they got their license, because they would sometimes even laugh at the actual kid and make. So I've seen some weird shit. I've seen kids stuttering in front of the class, and instead of teacher explaining, hey kids, don't laugh, this is normal, it's stressful to be in front of everybody, how would you feel, right? Explaining this, it's like, no, carry on, oh, look at yourself, you can't even read. So that is one situation that happened just one time, but that kid is going to internalize it and think about it every day for the next 20 years.
True.
So, traumas are stored in your body, right? So now your body doesn't know the difference between this happening once or thousands of times. So then you get put on a stage, right? You are maybe 47 years old. You are a successful businessman,
True.
and they tell you, you just got promoted. We want you to give
Say
a little
something.
speech.
Mhm.
It's like, panic attack. Where did it come from? Because you are still that little kid inside. And we all have still that little boy or girl inside of us to this day. The parts of our personality that are not 40 or 45 or 50 or however old, we both are. So we were kidding. Actually, we both are 27 now.
Absolutely. 15-ish.
57.
15-ish.
This is just this gray stuff is just it's style.
True.
It's style. But we have that little boy inside, and those different parts of ourselves come up. Yeah, it's crazy.
Jimmy, very interesting, because the topic of limiting belief is an absolute big topic, and it's holding a lot of people back in order to go ahead with their dreams, at least their potential. You miss a lot of opportunities, like the guy that you give an example or a story or an hypothetical example, being promoted and unable to speak on stage because of their limiting beliefs that was generated back in the days when they were kids in school. One of the great, I believe, things that you said, like embrace, see where it happened, when it happened. I love to say that limiting belief is like a table, like the top of the table. In order to have a limiting belief, there is a table and there are 4 legs. And the legs are the supportive ideas or concepts or people towards the limiting belief. Like, let's say a lady, she has a problem that always says, I'm not going to ever date because I'm ugly. I'm not beautiful. And then when you dig deep, you understand one of the legs that her mother used to tell her, that you're ugly, for example.
Yeah.
Then
Happened to my mother, by the way.
Oh, really?
Just
Yeah?
so you know.
A true story, yeah?
True story.
So these are one of the legs that support the limiting belief that you have, which is the backstories. One of the best things that people should do to overcome the limiting belief is replace this leg with a new one.
Oh, I love that.
So you start to collect supportive. Like, she wants to say that I'm beautiful. I'm done. Like, I'm finished with this limiting belief that's holding me back. No, you're beautiful. So Jimmy will every single day tell her that you're beautiful. So whatever her mother said before is broken, and now Jimmy is telling her that you're beautiful. She's getting supportive, I would say, actions or supportive ideas from the universe that supports her new belief, as if you're putting the top of the table on 4 new legs. Jimmy will say, she will get a compliment. She needs to open her ears. Compliments from the supermarket, from the cafe. That person that person said I'm beautiful. My girlfriend said I'm beautiful. So you start to demolish the old supportive elements and put the new one to have a proper limiting belief. It goes with money, it goes with beauty, it goes whatever with health.
Yeah.
You're always fat. What the fuck, I'm always fat.
Man, I love this. This is such a great example. I want to actually ask you, what was one of your broken legs?
Oh shit.
I'm curious. Yeah.
I love that. When I was a kid, I was weak. And I was built as a weak person. And that was my limiting belief, that I would never be strong. I would never. By the way, there are a lot of limiting beliefs. Like, that's one of them. And then I started to collect new evidences, and naturally, not like I was taught that these are the things, but I wanted things to, like, my mother used to tell me, like, don't fight because your body is a little bit weak. You will be hit. So I started naturally collect new evidences to build up my new belief, not a limiting belief, but a positive belief, that no, I'm actually strong. So I start involuntarily put myself in a fight that I will win.
Interesting.
Okay, so I'm building my leg, first leg. Then I start being part of my first martial arts.
The Kung Fu, yeah?
Karate. Started with karate. Then I start to build my new legs. Then now, when we talked about the confidence, and you said something very interesting, build your physical strength.
Yeah.
I love it because it 100% builds your confidence. Why? Because now I can walk around. I know I am a machine. I'm gonna use it or
Yeah.
not. No, I'm gonna protect the loved ones. But me knowing that I'm walking the streets, I'm a machine, that's already pumps up my confidence. So going back to the limiting beliefs, that was one of them. There was many with the money, but then by nature, I wanted to study what's limiting beliefs. How can I change? Because every now and then it comes back, something back to you from your old traumas. Then it's absolutely the same. You need to break down the legs and add new supportive legs to your new set of beliefs.
Yeah, and because you did it one time with that limiting belief, now you have a blueprint for doing it.
Exactly.
That's the beautiful thing, that once you overcome one limiting belief, you can kind of apply what you've done with other limiting beliefs.
Life is, for me, when I say to all the viewers, life is like an equation. I always ask, what is the equation for it? So have you failed? Yes, I failed. But not failed. I'm discovering the equation. How the equation looks like for the result to come. You're doing ads on social media. What are the targeting? What are the copy, the hooks, that gets you the result?
Yeah.
That's the equation. Once the equation is known, once you know the equation, double on. Double on. I created a post yesterday.
Hack and life.
Exactly.
Hack and life, yes.
Yesterday I created a quote on, not a quote, it was a thought. A lot of people these days, they want to achieve results very fast, okay? Which means like, let's do crypto. Oh, I did it for 2 months. Oh shit, I didn't get the money. Oh shit. Let's
six pack in 2 weeks.
Oh shit, let's go.
Yeah.
Guys, focus on one thing. And as soon as it starts working, don't jump away. 100 exit. 1,000 exit. Keep on it. A lot of people pivot so fast.
Yeah.
But already they're living on the side, the green that they have in their own hands. And they start looking to the greens in other places. Double down on things that work.
Yeah.
Even if you're making a sales call, if you're doing an ad, if you're a particular type of exercise, you need to double on things that work. So we'll not take to the audience into a big roller coaster ride with the thing. So again, if you want to...
This is great.
I love it. Again, limiting beliefs are the things that holds you back. If you want to put a new set of beliefs, try to make it supportive. Understand it first, see from where it came, and start to replace these kind of facts that support your new positive beliefs. I want to go to another thing that you've did, which is interesting. You teach people how to create a course.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to say like just a course, a best-selling course. You were on Udemy, you were sold to 400K people.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, like 450, something like that.
Amazing results. How? In a nutshell. Because
in a
maybe
nutshell.
in a nutshell.
30 seconds.
Yeah. How can you create a course? And I'm sure that you still do that. So people who are interested watching us today can refer to your website and get the course that you have to help people create a course. A lot of people are content creators these days. One of the main things that they're doing, they build courses. How to build a great course?
So first of all, let me tell you, the landscape has shifted, right? I started doing this a long time, over a decade ago, right? Now it's very different. Back then, you didn't really have mentors for this. There are no courses about building courses. And by the way, just as a disclaimer, it took me many years to actually teach people how to build courses. For the first probably 8 years of my journey, I was actually building courses about personal development, not about course creation. And I want to make this distinction because there are those people out there who sell courses about building courses to make money, and like the entire thing is in that landscape. So they make money teaching people how to make money. It's a weird scheme.
True.
So for me, I've been teaching people about overcoming their limiting beliefs, anxiety issues, building presentation skills, personal productivity. At some point, because I traveled so much, I taught travel hacking even, right? And then after many, many years, I started teaching how to build courses, right?
Equation.
Yeah, the equation.
Yeah.
But the thing, what people get wrong is that nowadays, because we have AI and things are easier than ever, you have all of those platforms, right?
True.
You've got so many different platforms. They are so accessible. Some of them are free.
True.
People think, well, I'm just gonna use ChatGPT to generate a bunch of content. I'm gonna get a teleprompter and just read it out. I'm just gonna make it big. Well, if everyone can do it, then clearly doing this will not make you stand out, because anybody can generate something from ChatGPT and just read it from the prompter. I feel like nowadays what is really missing is authenticity. And we talked about a little bit
True.
before we started the podcast. There are a lot of people out there nowadays that preach something. They preach, for example, healthy eating. But then when you actually meet them, you realize, is that a bag of chips? Is that a donut? I've seen this quite a bit, right? Or teaching the science of exercise. And then you see them slacking. Or people in the 5 a.m. club and then they wake up 11 a.m. I've seen this so many times, right? So I feel like nowadays, walk in your talk. Walk in your talk and picking something that you are genuinely passionate about and you genuinely want to help people with.
True.
And the reason this is so important, because if you go for the volume in today's world trying to teach something, people will see through the bullshit. There's so much content out there already. So what people want is they want to learn from authentic leaders who are relatable, right? So pick something that makes you relatable. People don't want to learn from someone who's the best on the planet. Although, it's always nice if you're great at something. But what is more important is that you are a legit expert, but when people look at you, they can see themselves in you, right? So let's say you want to run your first marathon, but you are overweight right now, and maybe you are really busy. Do you want to learn from somebody who has been running since the age of 12, winning competitions? I mean, for sure, they have great knowledge,
Of course.
but it cannot resonate. And part of you is thinking, will that person judge me because they're so fit, they have the genetics, they have everything? Maybe they'll laugh at me, I'm kind of ashamed. Or would you rather learn from someone who used to be exactly where you are now? Maybe 2 years ago, they used to be overworked and overweight.
True.
And they speak the same language. And I'm not talking about, Spanish, Italian versus English. I'm talking the same energetical language to you. And you know that they were exactly where you are. So they won't judge you. In fact, they know all the secrets for a person just like you. That's why nowadays I feel like more than ever it's important not to go for the broad audience unless you already have a following. That's a different story.
True.
You've got a following, you've got a brand, sure, teach everybody, right?
True.
But if you don't have a following, you are getting started. Ask yourself, what is my unique gift? What is something I managed to overcome? What is something that makes me relatable and unique? And who specifically do I want to teach it to? And don't worry about making it too specific. A lot of people tell me, Jimmy, but what if my niche is too specific and I just won't have enough people? The reality is that it may seem like there are not enough people, but when you look globally, and notice you can access anybody on a planet, even in a very specific niche, there are millions and millions of people who could buy your product. But what you want to do is when you promote your courses, whatever you build, you want to trigger the RAS of your target audience. It's the reticular, I'm sure you know this, right? Reticular activating system. Size of your pinky finger, part of your brain that is basically a gatekeeper for all the information that comes in. Like right now, I'm locked in on the conversation. I'm fucking locked in. And I'm loving it, by the way, bro. I'm loving it, right? But right now I could focus on the fact that, well, let me focus on different things. There's a lamp over there. Actually, this sun went down. I see the traffic over there. I see something over there. My heart is beating. Could focus on a lot of different things. I choose to focus on this. What you want to do is you want your audience's RAS to think, the moment they see your promo video, your landing page, to think, holy shit, that person made this just for me. Like, how do they know I need this? That's what you want. You want to create that effect. Right, so let's say someone, random example, overworked female, high-level executive with 3 kids, wants to start training, wants to do yoga, but doesn't have the time to do yoga. And there's a whole bunch of yoga training, 10 hours of yoga, 20 hours of yoga. I don't have the time for that. And then imagine there's a promo video. And this lady says, are you an overworked female executive with a bunch of kids and just don't have enough time in a day? You want to get fit. You want your husband to look at you the way he used to look at you. You realize it's a losing game. You just don't have the time.
True.
Well, the good news is that with my 7-minute yoga per day, I'll get you there in the next 2 months. Holy shit! How does she know? How did she know? That's when people buy.
Absolutely.
So whatever your niche is, right? I wanted to give a different example. I know mostly guys listen to this, but I want to give some slightly different example here. But that's the point. You gotta be extra clear.
Talking to them, targeting their pain, raising their emotions,
Yeah.
to attract them to your course.
Yeah, and that's what you're doing, by the
True.
way. I mean, the alpha. This is branding for men
True.
primarily, but I bet there are women watching this as well.
Of course.
For their husbands, for example, right?
Of course. I want to ask you another question. Since we're in the Alpha Talk show, how do you define an alpha?
Interesting. So alpha, to me, and there's just a whole bunch of new words to define them, and like sigma, etc. I don't want to get into that. I feel like it's important to create your own definitions of
True.
different words. So for me, being a real alpha male is not about what most people think it is, which is be loud, be out there, be always in the center of attention, and always take. For me, being a true alpha is being a strong but also gentle warrior, being the type of person who focuses on being a great leader for other people, who puts other people first, but at the same time, it's a weird thing, right? Bear with me. You put yourself first because you have to be strong in order to help other people. But in various situations, you are willing to sacrifice your well-being for other people. If that makes sense.
True.
It's kind of a dichotomy.
Exactly, true.
Right? That's how I see it. It's someone who builds people up and doesn't tear people down. That is really important.
True.
So what I love is when I meet people who, and a lot of fighters are like this. They could tear your head out of your spine. They could do anything with you, right? And even if you're a decent fighter, some of those guys out there, fighters, they are. It's a different level.
True, brutals.
But there are some of the nicest guys, like John Wayne Parr.
Of course.
He just released a book, right? By the way,
Of course.
the nicest guy ever. Or like my good friend Lurdzilla. Lurdzilla had over 500 professional fights in Thailand. He's a master of evasion. The nicest guy ever. When you spar with him, he's like, all right, bam, 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 playing around. Had a pleasure to spar with Senchai, who is a legend of Thai boxing. He could take you out, he could knock you out, but he will play with you. They always bow, they always respectful. But if there is danger, they'll take the guy out. And that's what I appreciate about other men. These are the types of men that I have in my circle, where we can be very nice. If there is we're going on a motorway and there is a dog out of nowhere just popped on a motorway, we will take ownership of that. So ownership is a big thing.
True.
This may not be our fault the dog is there, but because we saw the fucking dog, it's my fucking responsibility now because I saw the dog and I'm gonna do something about it.
True. I
It
love
doesn't-
this definition.
It doesn't matter that I'm gonna. Sorry, I'm swearing a little bit.
No, go ahead. No.
It's those things. I truly believe in this stuff. Not enough men think like this nowadays. I think this is the disease of this century or era, whatever you want to call it. That's a dog. Well, whatever. It's gonna get hit by a car. Not my problem. No, you saw it. Take responsibility. Right. That's what it's all about. See an old lady, taking ownership. Okay, that she has a big bag. Let me help her out. Little things. There's even tiny things like there's actually a real story. There's a massive traffic jam right on the mountain in Tenerife. I go a lot to Tenerife, as you can tell, right? And people are honking. Beep. Everyone is pissed off. So I stop the car. I leave the car. I go to the front. I ask the construction guys, what's going on? Is there an accident? Is there water? Oh yeah, we are doing something here. Next 10 minutes. So on the way back, I tell everybody, relax, 10 minutes, we're gonna go. Relax, 10 minutes, people stop honking.
True.
Otherwise, what's the point? How can you call yourself a real man if you're just sitting there, beep, just honking? It's ridiculous.
True.
So this is actually, I'm glad we're talking about, now I'm getting fired up. This is the topic we got to talk about. We forgot what being a real man actually is.
What about keeping their words?
It's so important. Keeping the word to other people, keeping the word to yourself. The most important thing. If you can't keep your word to yourself, you cannot keep the word to other people.
Anybody.
Impossible. And what happens, by the way, this also, and you see, confidence is a huge topic. We could spend the entire night here.
True.
But confidence is also built by keeping the word to yourself. Because if you don't keep the word to yourself, if you say, I'm going to wake up tomorrow, I'm going to hit the gym, and you don't do it. Or you say, oh, I'm going to do that thing. Like, imagine, by the way, what I appreciate about you is we met through Vishen, right?
Yeah.
We met at this event, and I'm very close friends with Vishen. I know you've been friends as well.
Yeah.
I think you did 2 episodes already. You get to know someone really well during podcasts. So we met, we started chatting, and he said, you guys got to talk. You got to do something together.
True.
And there was the right vibe. And you said, brother, let's do a podcast. A lot of people talk a big talk. A lot of people say, oh, next time you are here, come to my house, come this, that. Oh, you need introduction, this, come on the podcast. You've seen this, right? There's a lot of talkers, not a lot of doers. What I appreciate about you is that, man, you're like, let's do it, man. When do you want to do it? And we picked a date, but then we realized there's a seminar going on. And out of respect, so we said this time, I show up here, you are here, already, professional, done. That's how it should be. How could it be any other way? How can it be, right? But what never ceases to amaze me, and men really need to hear this. And if you're a man and you're listening to this and you're thinking, guys, I already do this. Well done. Great stuff.
True.
Kudos to you. Now, if you're not doing those things, hey, this is the time to get started. Start going through life, looking around, and trying to be of service. Look around. Little things. You are in the queue, a coffee shop. Maybe, in Dubai, obviously, you pay by card everywhere. But if you're in a place where you can't pay by card, and maybe there's some lady or a kid or whatever, right, wants to get some coffee or something. Oh shit, I don't have enough money. Oh, like I forgot my card. I just have, I don't know, 120 and coffee is 150. Unless you're really broke and starving, just say, you know what? It's okay, I'll cover this. Don't worry, I'll cover the rest. It's okay. Your time is more valuable. Instead of you going back to bring 30 cents, let me just cover this. And by the way, I said unless you're broke. In fact, that's a different conversation. If you are broke, especially, this will do you some good. Because if you covered 30 cents and you know this and you're broke, you send a signal to your brain, hey, I'm actually not completely broke.
I have something.
If I can give to others, I have something. But finding those opportunities to help people, see someone in distress, ask them, hey, is everything okay? Or maybe that cashier, talk to the cashier, you see something is up, be like, hey, what's going on? What's your name? Just make sure it doesn't look like you're hitting on her, because that's another thing. But you could even tell a white lie just for the purpose of making her feel better. Say, I'm here with my wife, but I notice is everything fine today? Hey, remember, I can tell, I see in your eyes, like you have a lot of potential in you. We all have bad days, but it's gonna get better. Say a few, encourage people.
True.
Right? Little things.
Add value.
Yeah, add value, connect people, right? You see someone needs something, someone, bam, make a connection. Being of service, it's gonna fill you with so much confidence, it's unbelievable. And to me, this is a big part of being a real man.
True. Which is missing a lot these days.
Yeah.
Jimmy, we have a section here called the Alpha Quickfire. I'll ask you quick questions. You hit me
already?
Fast. Yeah.
I thought we got for another 4 hours. I'm ready.
We give to our viewers, chunk-based.
Yeah.
That's a chunk for today. So, when not traveling, what's your favorite stay-at-home activity?
I don't have home.
Zero.
Let me actually...
Let me have one first.
Let me clarify.
Let me have one first.
Last 12 years, and I say 12 because even final year at university, I traveled. I stayed on my mate's floor basically whenever I went back to the UK.
So no home at all.
12 years. The longest I stayed in a place was 3 months during COVID at my ex's place. I was stuck in Germany.
And that was because of COVID.
Yeah, that was it. The other time was like Thailand, like training camp, 2 months. Nepal, I did like a month. I did Canary Islands like 3 months, but I still traveled. When I had 3 months, I had like mini contract. But apart from that, it's few weeks to usually a month and a half. I'm trying to slow it down, but yeah, I'm in Dubai now for a few weeks, heading to Thailand, and I'm heading to Taiwan for a Spartan race, going to Indonesia for the recon trip.
Home.
No home. I live in hotels and Airbnbs.
Ooh.
But so it's tricky to answer this.
Yeah.
It's tricky to answer this.
What's one skill you believe every entrepreneur should master?
Wow, that's a great question. One skill every entrepreneur should master. Resilience.
True.
Resilience.
True.
Two, actually, let me put it two. I need to give you two because just resilience is not enough. The first thing is switch off your thinking brain and just try shit. Just get out there. Just speak up. Just create an impulse in your head to just do it.
Do things.
Hey, we need a volunteer here. Who wants to volunteer?
Raise.
Raise your hand. Don't think about it. Just raise your hand. Figure out it later. Someone says, hey, we're doing this thing. I'm in. Let's go. Let's try it.
I love
But
it.
then you need resilience because when you do this approach,
fail.
you're gonna fail a bunch of
True.
times. Things will not work out. Then you need resilience to bounce back.
True. What is your personal mantra for getting through tough times?
So okay, I'm glad you asked this question.
Yeah.
My mantra won't make a lot of sense to a lot of people, but I really resonate with the Spartan mentality. So I would say to myself in tough situations, I'm a fucking Spartan. I'm a Spartan leader. There are different variations, but it usually has to do with the warrior mentality.
True.
So even, and I'll tell you a funny story. So when I was doing triathlon yesterday, even when I was recently doing a bunch of Spartan races in Thailand, right? So what I tend to do, and I show you because I want people to get something out of it, right? If you know,
True.
I say I'm a Spartan leader, you don't really
does it
learn
mean?
something for yourself. I tell you why a mantra is so important. Why it's so important. I'm doing a Spartan race and I'm pushing. I want to get into like top 5. I really want to smash it, right? So I'm going. And at some point, some obstacles, they kill you. Do rope climb, or maybe you miss the spear throw. Now you have to do the penalty loop and your lungs are burning and the sun is shining and you're like, maybe I can slow down. And I literally, and it's not going to be politically correct, but I'm going to say it anyway. I'm running and out loud. Bear in mind, there's some people around. There are people taking pictures on the side. There's maybe someone next to me. I say to myself, I'm a fucking Spartan. And don't be a little bitch. Don't be weak. And I say those things out loud to myself. And it may sound funny to some people. Come on, man, this is unnecessary. Well, let me tell you. There was a moment during that specific race, I was slowing down and I said this thing to myself.
Turbo.
Go faster.
Turbo.
And then yesterday, the triathlon, the finish line. I'm literally, I hope there's a video of this. Because as I'm getting close to the finish line, I'm literally, because you should be your own best coach, right? So as I'm going, I'm getting closer and closer. And I ask those guys, the support guys, how far? Couple of 100 meters, sir. I'm like, okay, come on, man. You can do it. Don't slow down. Don't be a little bitch. Don't slow down. Some people are gonna hate I'm using the word bitch, but it's not about. It has nothing to do with
True.
female, male. It's just. You see, I'm getting too fired up. It's just something that's highly emotional, and it works. It works, right? So, and I know female athletes who use the same.
True.
But I would say this to myself: "Come on, you're a winner. Come on, Spartan leader." And I say this out loud. I shout. Some people look at me like this guy's crazy. But tell you what, yesterday I finished sprinting, and I shouldn't be able to finish sprinting after we did 2.5K swim because they messed up the course.
Yeah.
So 2.5K swim in the ocean, no wetsuit, and then 43K bike ride, and then 10K run. I shouldn't be able to sprint, but I did because of this.
True.
It's so
pushes
powerful.
you up. True.
If you don't have a mantra, create a mantra ASAP.
That energizes you, that pushes you, that fires you up.
Yeah. And it doesn't have to be true right now.
True.
So you may be overweight right now. You may be broke. And you may say, well, what mantra will I have? Like, potato chips, that's my mantra. No, you want to create aspirational mantra. So if you want to become a warrior, or if you want to become a leader, right? Or if you want to become a productivity ninja, maybe you're more on the cerebral side and you really want to like make shit happen with your mind and build business. Maybe that's what you focus on. Well, why not start saying to yourself, I'm a productivity ninja. I'm getting things done, right? I'm a productivity ninja. It's like a tongue twister.
Yeah.
I'm a productivity ninja. I get 10 times more done than normal people, right? Could be something like this, but man, it's so
True,
powerful.
it has so much power on us, 100%.
What is your mantra? Sorry.
Impossible is nothing.
Yeah. Impossible is nothing.
Been over 20 years.
Mate,
Been the same.
impossible, the word im It's like I'm possible.
Exactly.
My buddy Jeff Griffin, he fell off 10-meter scaffolding, broke his back. Doctors told him you'll never walk again. He wrote a book called I Am Possible. Don't remember the exact
true.
Great dude. I met him in LA. Great dude. He played in Paralympics, and he actually ended up climbing a mountain with like a little, I don't know how he called this, but he was kind of holding it, and he managed to move his legs. And in front of me, when I met him last year, or when we 1.5 years ago at Mind Value, he said, brother, check this out. And he stood off the wheelchair by himself. And they told him, you never walk. Maria Concesao, my dear friend, they told her, you'll never climb another mountain again. Your knees are shattered. We went to the K2 expedition together last year. She went to the K2 summit. She's almost 50. They told her, oh, sorry, Maria, I shouldn't have revealed this, but she climbed to the summit. So, man, I'm gonna fire up. I'm gonna stop myself. I could give you so much. I gotta tell you,
there's nothing.
My buddy Nick Glover, right? So he tripled Jebel Jace on a bicycle. He rode up and down 21 times in the span of almost 3 days. Slept for 4 hours in total. Everyone said this is impossible. He's a cancer survivor, right? My new friend Carlo, right? He was with us for Ride for Unity, this project here. It's like a non-profit. He was riding with us. He's strapped to oxygen. Last year, he cycled 36,000 kilometers on a bike, strapped to a fucking oxygen bottle. So,
the human potential is really limitless. You just get to go. Keep going.
Yeah. No one can tell me that things are impossible.
When you were young, somebody told you something that really had hurted you, and you've never forgotten?
Wow. We're getting deep here. You know, kids were very cruel when I grew up in Poland. I was being called the outsider, the guy who, I felt like I just didn't belong. When I was growing up, it's like, oh, you foreigner, you're stranger, you shouldn't be here, go back to your country.
The racism part.
Yeah, I don't remember the specific word that was being said. Although Gila, some kids would like kind of call me Gila. There was another girl in the school who I believe was of African origin, and her name was Gila. My name is Jimmy, so they would like mix up our names on purpose. I remember that actually, but just in general, man, just a lot of like slurs, and and it wasn't. I don't want to make it sound like I grew up in a ghetto and I was being shot at, but when you are a kid, those things get to you. So for a long time, I felt like I was an outsider. And to this day, when I go back to Poland, there is some nostalgia. But man, like I don't resonate that much.
True.
I still remember those things.
If you would teach...
What is it for you? I need to ask you.
A word?
Yes.
Idiot. Lazy.
Wow.
You're never going to make it.
Well, then, whoever said this, hey...
Exactly.
Check this out, motherfucker. Look at the idiot with a book and a massive podcast and a whole bunch of business successes.
But it's real.
Well done. I hope you're doing well.
If we went back to children time, I ask this type of question to a lot of like entrepreneurial business people. Like if you could teach children one lesson, what this lesson could be. Why I ask this question to you particularly? Because when you talk to business people, business oriented, the numbers people, like financial literacy, schools doesn't teach. Absolutely correct. But from your standpoint, if you're going to teach children one lesson, what could be?
I would teach them how to believe in themselves. And I would teach them that, and it encompasses different things. But I would make them realize that whatever happened to them in the past, whatever they are labeled, doesn't have to be their reality. They can create a new reality for themselves. And a part of this is that don't look at other people thinking that they are better than you, because what you don't realize is that they are doing exactly the same thing. They are looking at you and they are questioning themselves.
True.
Most people have an imposter syndrome. I feel like a lot of probably most suffering that we experience in our lives come from trauma, from early childhood suffering, from limiting beliefs, from low self-esteem. I mean, think about it, right? Like why why would a husband beat his wife? Well, because there are all types of psychos out there, but a lot of them just have a feeling of low self-worth. I'm not important, I don't matter. Maybe she's threatening me. I want to assert my importance, and right. So there's a lot of terrible things that happen because people experience trauma when they were kids.
True.
So teaching kids how to build a healthy self-esteem, realizing that they are not just good enough the way they are, but they are more than good enough. They're capable of great things. Because, there's this saying that got popular, you are good enough. And it's great, right? Like my friend Marissa Peer talks about it. She wrote some amazing books out there. But I feel like we got to go a step further. You are more than good enough, right? You can make big things happen. Kids don't realize it. Man, one time I was doing a presentation in American school for underprivileged kids. I mean, they're like 18 years old, but kids, right? And I did this exercise, the confidence shower, and I said, write down things you could be proud of. Write down the things you could like about yourself. And this one girl, she raised her hand in the front. She said, "Sir, I don't have anything. I can't think of anything." And everyone just looked in shock. And I'm like, wow, how many of you are shocked here?
True.
And people raise their hands. I'm like, I can't really think about a few things. And I said, you are authentic. You are not afraid to speak up. You just spoke up in front of everybody. There's no bullshit in you.
True.
You say what you think. How many of you can think about? And then now people started throwing some things. And she was shocked because she genuinely thought there is not a single good thing about her.
True.
And it's heartbreaking because there are a lot of kids who live with this misconception, this limiting belief, and it affects them in life. And some of those kids will end up being broke and being depressed, and others will end up being violent because they will take all of that anger that I'm not good enough, I feel like shit, and they're gonna put it out there, right? Hurt people.
True.
I'm gonna stop myself now because this is the topic we could talk about for a very long time.
Let's switch it now to the Alpha Quickfire. Not the Quickfire, it's Alpha Choices.
Alpha Quickfire.
The Alpha
Do I gotta take off my top?
Choices. So I'll ask you two things. You pick one.
All right.
Okay?
Yeah.
Teaching online or in person?
In person.
Structured routine or spontaneous adventure?
Spontaneous adventure, but you need structure within that.
Phew. Corporate training or entrepreneurial coaching?
Entrepreneurial coaching.
Writing books or creating courses?
Both. Well, it's hard. It's hard one. Let me elaborate on this a little bit. You need both, because to create courses, you need experience, but people say, do you want to be street smart or book smart? You want to be both.
True.
You want to be both. You don't want to reinvent the wheel, so you got to read books. You got to listen to podcasts like this one, but you got to do this stuff. But one thing about building courses that I want to share here that will be valuable to them is the best way to learn deeply about something is to teach it.
True. Oof. Correct. 100%.
Needed to say this.
Solo travel or group expedition?
As the default for me, solo travel, because you get to know yourself to the point where when you are with a group, you can really give your best self. When you travel solo, you learn so much that you get comfortable in your own skin. Most people are not comfortable
True.
in their skin. Most people, you leave them in a room for 2 hours, they'll
They get
freak
nuts.
out. When you travel by yourself, you got to be self-sustainable. You got to embrace self-leadership, right? And so that now when you travel with a group, you bring all of those qualities to be a great leader within that group. And I'm not talking in a formal sense,
True.
becoming a leader, being the everyday leader, the good guy that we talked about.
Digital nomad.
Sorry, let me tell you one more thing.
Yeah.
If you travel just in a group, challenge yourself to travel solo. If you tend to travel solo,
switch.
travel with a group.
True. Public speaking or one-on-one mentoring?
Public speaking, probably bigger impact. One-on-one mentoring with the right person can be extremely rewarding. But I would choose public speaking.
Digital nomad lifestyle or doesn't matter the or.
You know the answer.
City life experiences or remote wild adventures.
What do you think?
The second one.
Second one.
We've been talking for 2 hours. I can answer this.
The second one. No. The second one.
Jimmy, what would be the last message you want to leave the audience with today? I'm saying to the audience or the viewers that we're gonna be doing another episode a little bit down the line where we're gonna be tackling particular topics, so you can take more, I would say, insights, wisdom, actionable items that you can do. But to keep it for your attention span, which we're expanding it too much today, we will keep it that you get introduced to Jimmy. The next one is going to be kind of a masterclass. So what can be the last message you want to leave the audience with today?
So first of all, thank you for watching, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. Post comments. Let us know what you want us to talk about in the next episode. Course creation, confidence, personal productivity, travel hacks, crazy stories from adventures, whatever it is, right? Let us know. Last message. Take your vision seriously. Take you becoming your best version seriously, but don't take this reality too seriously at the same time. It's a dichotomy, but what I mean by this, and I'm gonna make this short. We can delve deeper into this next time. Take your progress seriously, right? We talked about this. Figure out where you want to be 12 months from now, 2 or 3 years from now. Design that person, then do whatever it takes every day. Create accountability for yourself. Take ownership. Stack up those wins. Be very serious about it. Keep word to yourself and to other people. You say you're gonna show up, just show up. Be early. Make shit happen, right? But at the same time, don't take the overall life too seriously, remembering that we are gonna die. We are gonna die. We are gonna die, and there are emperors out there who wanted to create legacy and be remembered by people throughout centuries. And those statues of them that are out there now, they are just a pigeon's toilet. Most people don't care. They snap a picture, they move on. Don't take yourself too seriously. Have fun. Laugh at yourself. When you laugh at yourself, it's easier to fail.
True.
You know, that's really what it is.
I love that. In the last part, we have a section called the Alpha Talks Memoir. So the Alpha Talks Memoir is very simple, where the Alpha guests write their experience in the show, and they write a question to the next Alpha guest.
Oh, wow.
It's a way of making the Alpha guests communicate to each other, though they don't. Who doesn't know? You don't know who's next, and so that means
that is a question for me.
Exactly. So, are you ready?
I'm not ready. Let's see.
Ooh. What is the one thing that you are not doing today, and you know if you do it, your current or future, interesting this, marriage will be at its best version?
Interesting question for a guy like me specifically, right?
He wrote it exactly to you.
Yeah, that's actually wild when you think about it, because it's tricky when you're a nomad, right? 12 years nomadic. I had a relationship for 5 years, tried to make it work, but it is not easy.
True.
Unless you meet someone who is on the same journey.
Exactly.
But then when they're on the same journey, then maybe at some point you decide you want to kind of slow down, and they are peaking and they want to see everything. I think for me, really, it's opening up my idea to my mind to freeing my identity a little bit, making myself a bit more flexible, not being attached to the identity of a nomad and constant adventurer, and start looking into setting up some bases, some roots, not in one place, but perhaps in 2-3 different places, to allow myself the opportunity to then, once I meet someone, to have some type of stability. I can see that Dubai could be one of those places as one of the bases. Thailand could be the second one, primarily for training. Easy to get to Himalayas, all those places. But I think that's really what I feel like if I slow down a little bit. I talked about it with a bunch of friends recently, so it's a really interesting question. Traveling full-time is great. You learn a lot, but I feel like after 12 years, there is a level of diminishing returns. And I feel like, and I'm already kind of experiencing this because I kind of slowed down. Thailand, 1.5 months last year, end of last year, now a few weeks here, extended my flight. Things are happening, deals are happening. And I kind of have a feeling that if I slow down even further and maybe spend a few months out of this year in Dubai and then a few months in Thailand in one spot, things will just blow up.
I love your answer. And actually the question hits right on the spot.
Yeah. It's a good one because
True.
it makes me think as well.
True.
I feel like anybody should really ask themselves this question. Yeah.
Jimmy, it's been a pleasure. Loved the episode. I think we have hours we can speak. We're just gonna give the audience rest.
Because they've been on a treadmill, yeah?
Exactly. They're already like suffocating. Like my breath is gone. And we promise the audience we're gonna be back with another episode. We're gonna dig deep into more actionable insights with whatever Jimmy's doing. There are a couple of topics I'm super interested in, which is the limiting beliefs. That's the one that holds you back. The confidence, it's this one that not holding you back, stopping you. So I believe these are two topics. We're going to dig deep in the next episode together. Thank you once again. It's been a pleasure, and keep killing it. Travel less. Put a base. So when I ask you next time, where is home? Don't tell me I don't have home.
Yeah, I need a few, yeah.
All the best, man. It's been a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Seriously,
it's been a pleasure.
It's been a pleasure, and I need to say something here. This was an incredible podcast, and I don't say it lightly. I've been interviewed by a whole bunch of different people, and this is one of the best, if not the single best podcast I've done.
I appreciate it.
The way you show up here, the way you've got certain structure, but you are spontaneous and you pick up on different cues and you dive deep. You're not afraid to do it. That is the quality of an alpha, because the alpha is prepared, but is also not afraid to go with the flow. So you embody the alpha, my brother.
It's a pleasure.
It's a pleasure.
Much more to come. Much more to come. Thank you, brother.
Thank you very much. Thank you to everybody watching. Appreciate you.
That wraps another inspiring episode of today's show. I hope that this episode has ignited your inner alpha and left you feeling inspired, motivated, and ready to conquer any challenge that comes your way. Remember, alphas aren't born, they're made. It isn't about dominating others, it's about embracing your authenticity, leading with integrity, and making a positive impact on the world. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe to the Alpha Talks on your favorite podcast platform. Leave us a review and share the podcast with your fellow alphas. Also connect with us on social media at Saif Al Hakim. Share your thoughts, insight, and stories of personal and business growth with us. Let's create a movement of alphas supporting one another. The world needs more alphas like you exactly. Until next time, stay bold, stay driven, and stay alpha.